Morning, everyone. Welcome to Eat, Breathe and Pray. It is Sunday, the 23rd of November of 2025, and it is currently 7:07 a.m. here on the East Coast of the United States of America, and we are here for our Through the Bible in 1 Year reading. Today is day 327 of Through the Bible in 1 Year, and our reading today is from Zechariah, chapters 8 through 14. So if you have your Bible there, grab it so that you can read along. And if for whatever reason you do not have a Bible, you are unable to get one for yourself, then please let us know. You can private message us. We will make arrangements to get a Bible to you. You need the Word of God available to you. This is the food that we eat spiritually. This is what causes us to grow healthy and strong and thrive in our spiritual walk. And we need to make that a priority of putting the good food into us so that we can thrive. But before we get stuck into the reading this morning, let's take a moment just to still ourselves before the Lord, to present ourselves to Him, our bodies, minds, souls, and spirit, as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable in Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus, our Messiah, our beloved. So just breathe Him in. Allow His shalom to fill you full to overflowing. Set aside everything else and focus all of your attention on Him. Enter into His presence with praise and thanksgiving on your lips, and awe and wonder in your heart. As you listen for His voice, as you listen for the beat of His heart. Yahweh Tzavaot, Lord of hosts, we worship you. We worship you, our husband, our Redeemer, our Creator, our King. Zechariah, chapters 8 through 14. When the word of Yahweh of hosts came, saying, "Thus says Yahweh of hosts, I am jealous with great jealousy for Zion, and with great wrath I am jealous for her. Thus says Yahweh, I will return to Zion. I will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. Then Jerusalem will be called the city of truth, and the mountain of Yahweh of hosts will be called the holy mountain." Thus says Yahweh of hosts, old men and old women will again sit in the streets of Jerusalem, each man with his staff in his hand because of age. And the streets of the city will be filled with boys and girls playing in its streets. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, if it is too difficult in the sight of the remnant of this people in those days, will it also be too difficult in my sight, declares Yahweh of hosts. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, behold, I am going to save my people from the land where the sun rises and from the land where the sun sets. And I will bring them back, and they will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God in truth and in righteousness. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, let your hands be strong, you who are listening in these days to these words from the mouth of the prophets, those who spoke in the day that the foundation of the house of Yahweh of hosts was laid, to the end that the temple might be built. For before those days there was no wage for man or any wage for the animal. And for him who went out or came in, there was no peace because of the adversary. And I set all men one against another. But now I will treat the remnant of this people as in the former days, declares Yahweh of hosts, for there will be peace for the seed. The vine will yield its fruit, and the land will yield its produce. And the heavens will give their due, and I will cause the remnant of this people to inherit all these things. And it will be that just as you were a curse among the nations, O house of Judah and house of Israel, so I will save you, that you may become a blessing. Do not fear, let your hands be strong. For thus says Yahweh of hosts, just as I purposed to bring about evil to you when your fathers provoked me to wrath, says Yahweh of hosts, and I have not relented. So I have again purposed in these days to do good to Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. Do not fear. These are the things which you should do. Speak the truth to one another. Judge with truth and judgment for peace in your gates. Also, let none of you devise evil in your heart against another, and do not love false oaths. For all these are what I hate, declares Yahweh. Then the word of Yahweh of hosts came to me, saying, thus says Yahweh of hosts, the fast of the 4th, the fast of the 5th, the fast of the 7th, and the fast of the 10th months will become joy, gladness, and merry appointed feasts for the house of Judah. So love, truth, and peace. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, it will yet be, that people will come, even the inhabitants of many cities. The inhabitants of one will go to another, saying, let us go at once to entreat the favor of Yahweh and to seek Yahweh of hosts. I will also go. So many peoples and mighty nations will come to seek Yahweh of hosts in Jerusalem and to entreat the favor of Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, in those days 10 men from every tongue of the nations will take hold of the garments of a Jew, saying, let us go with you, for we have heard that God is with you. The oracle of the word of Yahweh is against the land of Hadrach, with Damascus as its resting place. For the eyes of men, especially of all the tribes of Israel, are toward Yahweh. And Hamath also, which borders on it, and Tyre and Sidon, because they are very wise. So Tyre built herself a tight fortification, and tied up silver like dust, and fine gold like the mire of the streets. Behold, the Lord will dispossess her and strike her wealth down into the sea, and she will be consumed with fire. Ashkelon will see it and be afraid. Gaza too will writhe in great pain. Also Ekron, for her hope has been put to shame. Moreover, the king will perish from Gaza, and Ashkelon will not be inhabited. And those of illegitimate birth will inhabit Ashdod, and will cut off the pride of the Philistines, and will remove their blood from their mouth, and their detestable things from between their teeth. They will also, then they also will be a remnant for our God, and be a clan in Judah. And Ekron, like a Jebusite, but I will camp around my house because of an army, because of him who passes by and returns, and no taskmaster will pass over them any more, For now I have seen with my eyes. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Make a loud shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming. Is coming to you. He is righteous and endowed with salvation, lowly and mounted on a donkey, even on a colt, the foal of a pack animal. I will cut off the chariot from Ephraim and the horse from Jerusalem, and the bow of war will be cut off, and he will speak peace to the nations, and his reign will be from sea to sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. As for you also, because of the blood of your covenant, I have set your prisoners free from the waterless pit. Return to the stronghold, O prisoners, you who have the hope. This very day I am declaring that I will return double to you. For I will bend Judah as a bow, and will fill the bow with Ephraim, and will rouse up your sons, O Zion, against your sons, O Greece. And I will make you like a mighty man's sword. Then Yahweh will appear over them, and his arrow will go forth like lightning. And Lord Yahweh will blow the trumpet, and will go in the storm winds of the south. Yahweh of hosts will defend them, and they will consume and trample on the stones of a sling. And they will drink and roar as with wine, and they will be filled with a sacrificial bowl, drenched like the corners of the altar. And Yahweh their God will save them in that day as the flock of his people, for they are as the stones of a crown, sparkling in his hand. For what goodness and what beauty will be theirs. Gain will make the choice men flourish, and new wine the virgins. Ask rain from Yahweh at the time of the late rain, Yahweh who makes the storm clouds, and he will give them showers of rain, the plant in the field to each man. For the teraphim speak wickedness, and the diviners behold false visions, and weak worthless dreams. They comfort in vain. Therefore the people journey like sheep. They are afflicted because there is no shepherd. My anger burns against the shepherds, and I will visit punishment on the male goats. For Yahweh of hosts has visited his flock, the house of Judah, and will make them like his splendid horse in battle. From them will come the cornerstone, from them the tent peg, from them the bow of battle, from them every good tastemaster, of all of them together, and they will be as mighty men, treading down the enemy in the mire of the streets in battle. And they will battle, for Yahweh will be with them, and the riders on horses will be put to shame. I will save the house of Joseph. I will cause them to return, because I have had compassion on them, and they will be as though I had not rejected them. For I am Yahweh their God, and I will answer them. And Ephraim will be like a mighty man, and their heart will be glad, as if from wine. Indeed, their children will see it and be glad, and their heart will rejoice in Yahweh. I will whistle for them to gather them together, for I have redeemed them. And they will be as numerous as they were before, and I will sow them among the peoples. And they will remember me in far countries, and they with their children will live and turn back. Then I will cause them to return from the land of Egypt and gather them from Assyria, and I will bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, until no room can be found for them, and they will pass through the sea of distress, and he will strike the waves of the sea, so that all of the depths of the Nile will dry up, and the pride of Assyria will be brought down, and the scepter of Egypt will depart. And I will make them mighty in Yahweh, and in his name they will walk, declares Yahweh. Open your doors, O Lebanon. that a fire may consume your cedars. Wail, O cypress, for the cedar has fallen, because the mighty trees have been destroyed. Wail, O oaks of Bashan, for the impenetrable forest has come down. There is a sound of the shepherd's wail, for their might is destroyed. There is a sound of the young lion's roar, for the pride of Jordan is destroyed. Thus says Yahweh my God, shepherd the flock doomed to slaughter. Those who buy them slaughter them and are not held guilty. And each of those who sell them says, Blessed be Yahweh, indeed I have become rich. And their own shepherds do not spare them. For I will no longer spare the inhabitants of the land, declares Yahweh. But behold, I will cause them to fall, each into another's hand, and into the hand of his king, and they will crush the land, and will not deliver them from their hand. So I shepherded the flock, doomed to slaughter, hence the afflicted of the flock. And I took for myself 2 staffs, the one I called favor, and the other I called union. So I shepherded the flock. Then I annihilated the 3 shepherds in 1 month, for my soul was impatient with them, and their soul also was weary of me. Then I said, I will not shepherd you. What is to die, let it die, and what is to be annihilated, let it be annihilated, and let those who remain consume one another's flesh. And I took my staff, favor, and cut it in pieces to break my covenant, which I had cut with all of the peoples. So it was broken on that day, and thus the afflicted of the flock who were watching me knew that it was the word of Yahweh. And I said to them, if it is good in your sight, give me my wages, but if not, never mind. So they weighed out 30 shekels of silver as my wages. Then Yahweh said to me, throw it to the potter, that valuable price at which I was valued by them. So I took the 30 shekels of silver and threw them to the potter in the house of Yahweh. Then I cut in pieces my second staff, union, to break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. Then Yahweh said to me, take again for yourself the equipment of a foolish shepherd. For behold, I am going to raise up a shepherd in the land who will not care for those who face annihilation, seek the young, heal the broken, or sustain the one standing, but will consume the flesh of the fat sheep and tear off their hooves. Woe to the worthless shepherd who forsakes the flock. A sword will be on his arm and on his right eye. His arm will be totally dried up and his right eye will be utterly dimmed. The oracle of the word of Yahweh concerning Israel. Thus declares Yahweh, who stretches out the heavens, lays the foundation of the earth, and forms the spirit of man within him. Behold, I am going to make Jerusalem a cup that causes reeling to all the peoples all around. Now the one in siege against Jerusalem will also be against Judah. But it will be in that day that I will make Jerusalem a heavy stone for all of the peoples. All who heave it up will be severely injured, and all of the nations of the earth will be gathered against it. In that day, declares Yahweh, I will strike every horse with bewilderment and his rider with madness. But I will open my eyes to watch over the house of Judah, while I strike every horse of the peoples with blindness. Then the clans of Judah will say in their hearts, a strong support for us are the inhabitants of Jerusalem, through Yahweh of hosts, their God. In that day I will make the clans of Judah like a fiery laver among the pieces of wood, and a fiery torch among sheaves. So they will consume on the right hand and on the left all of the surrounding peoples, while Jerusalem will again be inhabited in its own place in Jerusalem. Yahweh also will save the tents of Judah, first so that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem will not be magnified above Judah. In that day, Yahweh will defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the one who stumbles among them in that day will be like David, and the house of David will be like God, like the angel of Yahweh before them. And it will be in that day that I will seek to destroy all of the nations that come against Jerusalem. And I will pour out on the house of David and on the inhabitants of Jerusalem the Spirit of God and of supplication, so that they will look on me whom they have pierced, and they will mourn for him. As one mourns for an only son, and they will weep bitterly over him, like the bitter weeping over a firstborn. In that day there will be great mourning in Jerusalem, like the mourning of the Haradrimon in the plain of Megiddo. And the land will mourn, each family alone, the family of the house of David alone and their wives alone, the family of the house of Nathan alone and their wives alone, the family of the house of Levi alone and their wives alone, the family of the Shimeites alone and their wives alone, all of the families that remain, each family alone and their wives alone. In that day, a fountain will be opened for the house of David and for the inhabitants of Jerusalem, for sin and for impurity. And it will be in that day, declares Yahweh of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols from the land, and they will no longer be remembered. And I will also cause the prophets and the unclean spirit to pass away from the land. And it will be that if anyone still prophesies, then his father and mother who gave birth to him will say to him, you shall not live, for you have spoken falsely in the name of Yahweh. And his father and mother who gave birth to him will pierce him through when he prophesies. And it will be in that day that the prophets will each be ashamed of his vision and when he prophesies, and they will not put on a hairy mantle in order to deceive. But he will say, I am not a prophet, I am a cultivator of the ground, for a man sold me as a slave in my youth. And one will say, what are these wounds struck here between your arms? Then he will say, those with which I was struck in the house of my friends. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd and against the man, my associate, declares Yahweh of hosts. Strike the shepherd, that the sheep may be scattered, and I will turn my hand against the little ones. And it will be in all of the land, declares Yahweh, that 2 parts in it will be cut off and breathe their last, but the third will be left in it. And I will bring the third part through the fire and refine them as silver is refined, and test them as gold is tested. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people, and they will say, Yahweh is my God. Behold, a day is coming for Yahweh when the spoil taken from you will be divided among you. Indeed, I will gather all of the nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city will be captured, the houses plundered, the women ravished, and half of the city will go forth in exile. But those left of the people will not be cut off from the city. Then Yahweh will go forth and fight against those nations, as the day when he fights on a day of battle. And in that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, which is in front of Jerusalem, on the east, and the Mount of Olives will be split in its middle from east to west by a very large valley, so that half of the mountain will move toward the north, and the other half towards the south. And you will flee by the valley of my mountains, for the valley of the mountains will reach to Azel. Indeed, you will flee just as you fled before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. Then Yahweh my God will come, and all the holy ones with him. And it will be in that day that there will be no light. The luminaries will dwindle, and it will be a unique day, which is known to Yahweh, neither day or night, but it will be that at evening time there will be light. And it will be in that day that living waters will flow out of Jerusalem, half of them toward the eastern sea, and the other half towards the western sea. And it will be in a summer as well as in winter. And Yahweh will be king over all the earth. In that day, Yahweh will be the only one, and his name one. All of the land will be changed into a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem. But Jerusalem will rise and inhabit its site from Benjamin's gate as far as the place of the first gate to the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananel to the king's wine presses. And people will inhabit it. And there will no longer be anything devoted to destruction, for Jerusalem will be inhabited in security. Now this will be the plague now this will be the plague with which Yahweh will plague all of the peoples who have gone to war against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they stand on their feet, and their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongue will rot in their mouth. And it will be in that day that abundant confusion from Yahweh will fall on them, and they will take a hold of one another's hand, and the hand of one will go up against the hand of another. And Judah also will fight at Jerusalem. And the wealth of the surrounding nations will be gathered, gold and silver and garments in great abundance. And in the same way, the plague on the horse, the mule, the camel, the donkey, and all the cattle that will be in those camps will be like this plague. Then it will be that any who are left of all of the nations that went against Jerusalem will go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, and to celebrate the Feast of Booths. And it will be that whichever of the families of the earth do not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, there will be no rain on them. And if the family of Egypt does not go up or enter, then no rain will fall on them. It will be the plague with which Yahweh plagues the nations who do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Booths. This will be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all of the nations who do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Booths. In that day, there will be inscribed on the bells of the horses, holy to Yahweh, and the pots in the house of Yahweh will be like the bowls before the altar. And every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah will be holy to Yahweh of hosts. And all who sacrifice will come and take of them and boil in them. And there will no longer be a Canaanite in the house of Yahweh of hosts in that day. And that is the end of our reading for today. Join us tomorrow morning for our reading. Just bear with me for a second. Tomorrow's reading will be from Acts chapters 17 and 18. So join us then, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the United States of America. And in the meantime, go in the knowledge and the awareness of the presence of God with you, the full knowledge of God, and of the knowledge of his great love for you, and of his Holy Spirit dwelling in you. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for the people of Israel. Pray the promises and the prophecies of Scripture over them. And pray without ceasing for whatever it is that God has called you to, whatever he has given you influence or authority over. Pray from that place of his presence, that place of stillness and rest, where you can hear his voice and know his heart, so that you know that what you're praying is coming straight from the heart of the Father. And be blessed and be a blessing.